What's up guys, Connor back with another episode of CB Off-Road. Since the Michigan video, a lot of you have been asking about a really full detailed walk around. I did a walk around with the Terra Crew guys back last King of Hammers actually. I'll leave a link to that in the description. That's a great video, but I didn't really go super in depth into what I did to make some things work and what I had to cut out, what I had to, do, whatever. So this video is for that. So I'm going to give you a full in-depth walk around of my Jeep Comanche. So let me start off by telling you where we actually are right now. So this is the garage of my apartment, aka my basement. I wanted to do this video somewhere way cooler and maybe like a field with a scenic view, or maybe even the shop at Barnes 4-Wheel Drive where I work. But after all that thinking, I figured why not do this video where the truck was actually built. I really wanted to kind of emphasize you don't have to have a race shop. This light you see right here, I got that light from Harbor Freight. Simple as that. I really wanted to do this somewhere cool, but really when I think about what this truck is and what it means to me, doing it here kind of felt right. So, all right, to start off, let me give you the basics of. There's my toilet flushing. All right, to start off, let me go over the basics. One, she's a 1988 Jeep Comanche Chief, so it's got bucket seats and stuff like that from the factory. Two, it has a high output 4-liter from a, I believe like a 93 or 96 or something like that Cherokee. It has an AX15 5-speed. And then behind that, it actually has a Dana 300 that I'm going to show you a little bit later. So that's kind of its bones. That's what it started out as. And I've kind of just built it from there. I got this from a gentleman in Alabama who actually worked for NASA out of Huntsville, Alabama. He bought the truck off the lot and kept it its whole life. So I actually have the window sticker for this truck. I looked for a Comanche for about 8 months before I found this one. And went and saw this one and fell in love with it and brought it home. So that is kind of what it started out as. Now let me tell you what I did to get it to where it is today. All right, so I'm going to start off with the things that people notice the most and ask about the most. This video isn't scripted, so if I mess something up, sorry. So the top 3 things I get asked about on this truck are the bumper, the fenders, and the paint. So to start off with the bumper, this is a Pritchett Canyon front bumper from Barnes 4-Wheel Drive for a JK. And yes, you heard that right, this bumper is for a JK. Me and my buddy AJ built some brackets using the stock bumper brackets for an MJ and some square tubing. We made a bastard love child and we made some brackets that work. They tie into the rear bumper mount on the unibody that goes all the way through, and then they tie in 2 places up here as well. I've winched off of it multiple times and it's super strong and I'm super happy with how it turned out. This bumper allows me to recess this Warn XD 9000 winch. I keep a Bluetooth Warn receiver plugged into it all the time and it's stashed under the hood here. And then I have my free spool switch right here. Got a Warn Fairlead with a Factor 55 Ultra hook for the safetiest of safeties. And then I've got KC Amber 3x3 pods for cutting through the dust. While I'm at it, these headlights are from Amazon. They are not truck lights. Everybody asks me that. I'm not putting $800 headlights in a truck that appraises for $800. So Amazon headlights, they got a high beam, a low beam. I love them. They work really good. So super happy with those. Stock turns and everything. The paint is not stock. It is a single stage paint job that I got done for $400, which I think is a steal of a deal. It's definitely not perfect. I did the body work myself. I basically just took an orbital sander to the whole truck, and then I had my buddy Terry paint this Dove Gray. So this is just a paint that I got from one of those auto paint websites that sells all sorts of paint. And yeah, the truck is Dove Gray. I think it turns out great. I think it clashes well with the blue that I have kind of throughout the truck. So yeah, that looks great there. Moving on, the fenders. So these are McNeil Racing fiberglass fenders. They are a +4 bulge, which means that they are 4 inches wider than the factory fender. So they're pretty dang wide. They open up the wheel well really great. The fronts are bolt-on, the rears are not. We'll get there in a minute, but the fronts are pretty much bolt-on. You just pull the stock fender off. There is some massaging that has to happen, as with all fiberglass, but that's basically it. The hood is stock, just has decals on it. I had these decals made by a guy local to us. They are kind of mimicking the factory Chief decals that came on this truck when I got it, and I really thought they were cool, so I wanted to keep them. But I had to throw a little, pizzazz in there to make them cool. Okay, while we're talking about it, I'll just move down the side of the truck, and then we'll move to like axle, suspension, all that stuff. Another thing I get asked about all the time on this truck is what light brackets are these? These are JCR 50-inch light bar brackets. They just bolt on to the drip rail, which is really nice. You don't got to drill into the top or anything. And they come powder coated. They have 2 little levels for your light, so that's great. And then up here is something that kind of sets the truck apart, is the KC 50-inch Pro 6 light bar. I think there's 8 lights up there. I'm not really sure. This thing's crazy bright. Like, I've had pretty much every kind of light you can think of off of Amazon. Nothing is as bright as this light is. Like, it's almost unusable. It's so bright. Like, it's crazy how bright this light is. It's awesome. I love turning it on in a field, or when we went out to KOH or Moab or whatever. Like, you can see forever with this light. It's nuts. So super cool. Love that thing. Tires, we've got a 37 1250 17 BF Goodrich KM3. We work at Barnes 4-wheel drive. We work pretty closely with BF Goodrich, so that's kind of the only tire we run. So I love the KM3. It's quiet on the road. It's soft in the rocks, so you can marry them down and they really grip really well. There's really not an element that they're bad in, honestly. They do really great pretty much everywhere. Wheels, I've got the Method bead grip wheels in the, I don't even know how to say it. I'm gonna butcher this probably, but it's like Bahia blue. I don't know how to say that. Sorry, Method. They're blue, but they're the bead grip wheels. They're a 17. They have a 0 offset, so I do have to run wheel spacers. Not a big deal to me. They do have them in different offsets now. When I got these, they had just released, so they didn't have anything but a 0 offset. So, but yeah, I love these wheels. I can air this tire down. I have aired this tire down to like 7 PSI in the snow and then 9 PSI in the rocks. Never broken a bead, never burped any sort of air. I'm impressed. I mean, these are freaking awesome. They're super lightweight still, so they're not crazy heavy like a bead lock. They don't require all the maintenance a bead lock requires, but I mean, for what I do, I can get to the air pressure that I want to be at. So super happy with these wheels. All right, so now we're going to move on to the inside of the truck, and this is where I actually kept it pretty stock other than a few key little things. So first off, it's a Chief, like I said, so it came factory with bucket seats, center console, all those doodads. So still have the factory center console in it. I really like it. It works well for what I need. The bucket seats, however, were shot from the factory, so I upgraded to some Corbu Moab seats. Also, I don't know if that's how you say the name of the company. It's either Corbeau or Corbu. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. But these are the Moab models that they sell. They recline forward, so I can still get to the cargo space of the cab. And they have a pocket in the back, so I stuffed some like recovery gear and tire air down stuff in there. And then they actually make sliders for Comanches, so that's super cool. I didn't have to buy one for an XJ and modify it. They actually sell them for Comanches, which is awesome. Then I have rugged ridge floor mats, pretty standard stuff there. I have switches for my lockers on this side, and then switches for my lights on the other side of the steering wheel. Those were just Amazon switches, nothing too crazy there. The kind of big, thing in the cab that is obviously not stock is my transfer case setup. So where the cup holder used to be, I have a twin stick transfer case shifter set up from JB Custom Fabrication. Now, I can't say enough good things about JB Custom Fabrication. They worked with me all the time on getting a custom setup for this truck. Super happy with this setup. Aluminum shift knobs, aluminum platform that the shifters are on, cable shifters. It's the works. It's really cool. Gauges in this truck are factory, glove compartment, all that stuff's factory. It does have a Pioneer radio because the factory one crapped out, and I need an aux cord. I keep a fire extinguisher on this side, toolbox behind this seat, wrench roll over there under the passenger seat, and that's basically it. Stock steering wheel, nothing crazy. I really like hand crank windows. I do have kicker audio in here. The speakers in this truck were garbage. I love listening to music. So it does have kicker audio on the doors. So that's one thing as well. But other than that, it's pretty stock. I know I just listed off a bunch of things, so it doesn't sound like it's stock, but it looks pretty stock in here, which I really love. It makes me feel like I'm in the 80s, even though I wasn't alive in the 80s. So yeah, that's the interior. All right, before we move on to the rear, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you about the front axle and suspension. I told you these weren't scripted, so you're gonna have to go along with me here. So the front axle on this truck is a TJ Dana 44 out of a TJ Rubicon. It has the factory TJ locker. I used the factory TJ locker pump, and then it has the factory 410 gears that came in this axle for that TJ. It has chromoly axle shafts. I have no clue the brand. They were in the axle when I got them, but I do know that they are chromoly. I have not broke one, surprisingly. Knock on wood, wherever that is. It has some sort of beefy aftermarket steering. I think it's either Genride or Curry, I can't really tell. Also came on the axle when I got it. It has a Barnes 4-wheel drive heavy duty diff cover, Barnes 4-wheel drive C gussets for the outer C's. And then that's pretty much it as far as like axle beefiness. It has a Redneck Ram Hydro Assist, and that is paired with a bone stock Saginaw steering box that I sent to Redneck Ram. They blew it apart, they put new seals in it, and then they ported it for Hydro Assist. I've run that also with the stock factory steering pump. And I know a lot of people are going to tell me like, oh, you're going to cook that pump, and I probably will eventually, but right now it's been working great. It's been on there for a year. Haven't had any issues with it getting hot or anything. I did drill out the factory high pressure line port to like the next size up to allow for more flow. It steers amazing. I can lock that front axle, be in the rocks, and turn it whatever way I want to. However, like on the street and stuff, I can tell it does need some more flow. If I turn the wheel really, really fast, the fluid kind of like can't keep up with what I'm doing. But other than that, I mean, it steers really great. Like it does what I want it to do. Suspension. So suspension is kind of a complicated one. So get ready. This truck is sitting on 6-inch Skyjacker soft ride springs. The shocks are Bilstein 5100s. I do not run a sway bar. A 3-link long arm. So I used a Stinky Fab set of brackets, Stinky Fab heavy duty cross member / transfer case skid, and then I built the arms with all the parts from Barnes 4-wheel drive. So tubing, tube inserts, jam nuts, and then I use our Enduro joints. So I essentially have the Barnes 4-wheel drive Enduro 3-link kit on here. Track bar is Iron Rock Off-Road. I have the bolt-on Iron Rock Off-Road track bar bracket. They're solid track bar. It's not tube, it's actually a solid piece of stock. And then that's just going to the factory bracket on the frame. I need to beef that up. That's kind of in my opinion, the weak link on the front axle. That's really it as far as suspension goes. The truck rides amazing. It rides better than my JK did. I'm really happy with that. And so that's kind of the overview on the front suspension and front axle. All right, so turn the truck around for you. I wish you could smell how much it smells like 4-liter in here. I'm about to asphyxiate and die. But anyway, this is the rear of the truck. So we'll start with probably what everybody wants to know about. How did I put these on? These are from, oh man, where are these from? These are from Hanneman Fiberglass, and these are a plus 4-inch bulge as well. And you have to, well, I guess you don't have to, but I cut the entire bed side of this truck off to put these on. There's no bed side underneath this truck, totally open up in here. I built some little supports with just out of like aluminum stock, and then it's bolted to kind of the perimeter of the bedside. You have to cut out your own tail light holes. These are stock tail lights. One of them has taken kind of a hit, but whatever. Sliders, I didn't talk about those. The sliders on this truck are just 2x3 square tube. And me and a couple buddies from work one night cut angles in the ends of them, built some little standoffs, and just slapped them on there right before we went wheeling one day. This rear bumper I get asked about a lot. Me and those same buddies who built the sliders built this rear bumper. This is a single piece of 1 3/4 tubing that we pretty much just did 2 90s in on each side. And we made it longer on purpose to give me kind of a step to, one, get up in the bed with, but two, to kind of keep things off of the bedside. I kind of wanted to build it to match the contour of this, you know, to kind of swoop out, but it honestly, I mean, as you can see, there's no paint right here because the bed, it seems like the back of the bed is always the danger zone with this truck, and it's always what's getting hit by stuff. So building this here really helps keep things off of this. Like this little hole in this taillight probably would have been ripping the entire back corner of this truck off if this wasn't here. So next, this is pretty new, so I don't get a ton of questions on it yet, but I have been getting a lot, is this tonneau cover. Where the heck did I get this thing? So this is actually a tonneau cover for a GMC Canyon, I think. It's off of eBay, and it's just like, you know, your standard tri-fold cover. It has the little plastic hooks underneath. Basically, I don't want to bed line the bed of this truck because I just scratch it up and use it so much. So this makes it look nicer. Plus, the cab has absolutely no space for most things, so it's really nice having another place to have dry storage or dry-ish storage. It definitely leaks a little bit if you like pressure wash the truck, but honestly, rain and stuff, it keeps it out pretty good. Tailgate, totally factory. You can still open it up and everything with the bumper on there. Again, the bed of this truck is pretty scratched up and stuff, but that's what it is. I have KC RGB lights throughout the bed so I can see what I'm doing. Those can change colors, do all the fancy light shows, but I just kind of use them to be able to see. So, don't know what I just did there. This is just a magnetic mount from Amazon. Pretty simple. You can just kind of plop it right off there. Let's talk about the rear axle. All right, so axle, suspension, and stuff like that in the rear. The rear axle is a Ford 8.8 out of a Ford Explorer. It has 31 spline shafts, so it's the big tube 8.8, so the axle tubes are 3 1/4. The gears are 410 gears to match the front, and then the locker is an Eaton E-locker. All that came in the axle when I got it. I got the front and rear axle as a set. Out of a TJ, guy was going to 1 tons, so went ahead and made the deal. A lot of people ask me about these leaf springs. Stock leaf springs. Bone stock 1988 Jeep Comanche leaf springs. Are they going to work forever? Probably not. They're probably going to start sagging, probably going to have problems eventually, but right now they're working great. All I did was flip them spring over. These trucks are spring under from the factory. So I did our Barnes 4-wheel drive 8.8 swap kit, so that comes with spring perches, U-bolts, U-bolt plates, and shock mounts. So I have the same Bilstein 5100 shock mounts in the rear here. Diff cover from I don't know who that was on there when I got it. These shackles are actually for I think they're for a Chevy 1500. I needed a really, really short shackle because this truck had lift shackles on it when I bought it. And when I flipped the springs over the axle, the truck was like 9 inches of lift in the rear or something. It was crazy. So took those out and went and found the shortest shackles I could find that would still fit. And yeah, it works really great. Honestly, the rear flexes awesome. Works really great. You know, I'm not going to go kill a whoop section in Johnson Valley, but I live in North Carolina. So there's really not a lot of high-speed stuff I'm doing around here. So they work awesome for what I need them to work. As of right now, I'm probably going to keep it this way. If I ever do change it, I'd like to go maybe like trailing arm, links, coils, all that. But maybe someday, we'll see. All right, so the kind of final thing I want to talk about with this truck is the Midnight Metalworks Dana 300 rock box that I have in this thing. So what that is it's a billet aluminum Dana 300. Midnight Metalworks takes years from JB conversions, and then they take all the machine billet pieces that they make, and then they put them together into one glorious end product, being their rock box. So this truck has a 4-to-1 transfer case in it now, which is amazing compared to the 272 one that I had, dude. I was stalling this truck all the time on the rocks. I have videos on it on my Instagram to prove it. Now, man, you put this thing in low, put it in first, you have so much control. It's so, you don't have to work the clutch hardly. It's great. You can also choose to work the axles independently with this case. So you can do a front dig, rear dig. You can do either one of those in high range or low range. So that's pretty cool. The case is flippable. So you just take out the innards of it, put it on the other side if you have like a passenger drop. So yeah, it's a great transfer case. I really love it. Midnight Metalworks has been great to us with this build. And speaking of that, the drive shafts coming out of it are from Sheridan Driveline. They're a 1350 CV at the transfer case side, and then just standard yoke at the axle side. Those are made by Sheridan Driveline. Sheridan is the town that Midnight Metalworks is in. That's kind of their sister company that they're, producing drive shafts with. So that's going to be super cool when you can get both of those at the same place. They know a lot of people need that, so they're trying to kind of supply that need. It does have a clocking ring that you bolt to the transmission, and then you can clock it. I didn't have to do any modifications to the transmission tunnel, which is pretty much unheard of with putting something of this caliber in a vehicle. I clocked it the same that the factory was clocked, and I didn't have to cut or beat the transmission tunnel at all. The only thing I had to do was I had to cut a little notch out of the transmission mount, like the polyurethane one, but that's it. That's all I had to do. I do run a transfer case drop in this. I don't love having to do that, but it just really helps the CV angles that I have going on. I could lower the truck to help that a little bit, but I really need the articulation. I haven't really figured out what to do there yet, so kind of figuring that out still. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is everything that I can think of to cover with this truck. If there's something you saw that you wanted to know about that I didn't go over, leave it in the comments below and I'll try to get to it there. A couple things I want to say. I've got some people I want to thank. First of all, KC Lights. They were kind of the first brand to come alongside me with this truck and really believe in it. They, support us not only with product. As you can see, I've got lights everywhere, but they brought this truck to shows. They kind of got it out there in the wild, and I can't thank them enough for doing that. Midnight Metalworks, obviously, Rob and his crew over there worked really hard with me to get me product on time, to get me product that worked for me, and to pretty much change this truck completely. So really thankful for those guys at Midnight Metalworks. BF Goodrich, obviously, as well. Super grateful to be able to run the, in my opinion, best tire brand in the world. Couldn't be happier there. Warren and Factor 55, they're the same company now if you don't know that, but pretty much the state of the art in recovery. Can't really get much better than that. So Tent Tracks, I don't have a tent on here right now, but Brent Tent Tracks is a good buddy of mine, and he actually has brought us to some events and things of that nature, and we love our Tent Tracks rooftop tent. Couldn't say better things about that company. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for caring enough to watch this video. I hope this inspires you to go build your own Comanche or Cherokee or whatever the heck. But yeah, thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.